My big brother Bobby, after whom this show is named, died on July 20th, 2018. I loved him. When he died, I felt incredible sadness, but also an overwhelming sense of relief. Yes, I know that's a terrible thing to say out loud. His death was a tragedy, like all deaths are. But it was also the end of something that had been grinding us down for decades. Bobby lived for 40 years as a disabled man, having suffered pain, dependence, frustration, and lost dignity. And I wasn't there for most of it. Not really. I immigrated. I built a life for my family with safety, opportunity, and comfort. If I had the chance, I'd make the same choice all over again. But more importantly, Bobby, paid the price for my ambition. Years of remote caring, phone calls instead of being there, loneliness, subpar healthcare. And I paid in a different currency. I miss Bobby. I miss the conversations we had, and even more the conversations that we never got to have. So now, after his death, and at the risk of sounding insane, I actually talk to him. I remind him of who we were and what we survived together. And he responds with love, patience, and brotherly kindness that eases my guilt, the same guilt that's carried by immigrants who have left their loved ones behind. Most of all, he responds in music. These are some of those conversations. Hey, Bobby, it's Guddu. My nickname is Guddu. Do you remember that blistering afternoon? That afternoon in October 1979. It was game day. It was I Block versus those motherfuckers in J Block in Kirtinagar. J Block was richer than we, better clothes, imported willow bats, new cricket balls every day. Rumor had it that they were terrified of facing you. All the pretty Punjabi girls would gather to watch, and for the rest of us, watching you dismantle J Block was the high point of our cricketing lives. I was the wicketkeeper crouched behind the stumps, waiting for your signal. You taught me spin bowling, but you also taught me how to navigate our somewhat interesting situation in the neighborhood. We were the boys with glasses, English books, science homework, and who listened to what we called those days English songs. Different enough to stand out, but poor enough to not get a swollen head about it. That afternoon, I waited for the fast bowlers to rough up the ball a little. Then the captain tossed the ball to you. A hush settled over the field. You glanced at me casually and scratched your testicles. Signal received. A scratch meant that the ball would break one way. A rub of the ball on your thigh meant that it would break the other way. A touch to the side of your nose meant something faster and nastier. Somehow, from 66 feet away, that's the length of a cricket pitch, I always knew, while the batsman could only guess what was coming their way. What followed was mayhem. Edges, misses, flying bails, and J Block's confidence slowly draining away down the toilet till you took 5 of their most prized wickets. If I had one issue with our evil scheme, is that it was that I just couldn't remember all the signals. So, as kind as always, you suggested this, that you would be the wicketkeeper on a particular day, while I bowled and used all the signals. You put on your pads and crouched behind the empty crease, while I gave the signals and bowed towards our imaginary foe, our nemesis, the J Block motherfucker.
Turn
A couple of weeks after that cricket match, on October 19, 1979, I was playing with my friends when Mum called me in from the street. There was something in her voice that warned me not to argue and run to her. She said simply, "There was a call from Bobby's work. There's been an accident." By 6 o'clock, we were at the hospital. As you can see, this is a real family show. You had slipped while escaping a gas leak at the factory where you worked as an electrical engineer. Your left thigh bone got shattered. The surgeons planned to repair it the next morning with steel plates and pins. I said, "You're going to be fucking Iron Man." And he said, "Yes." The next day, I sat with you in your hospital room watching cricket on television and talking nonsense, as brothers do. You were 23 years old, handsome, brilliant, newly employed. The future stretched out before you. Then something changed. Your breathing became labored. Your body started jerking. You kept staring at the television, and then you asked me to change the channel. To what? I asked. To the one with pro-Russian voices. What the fuck? I thought you were joking, but you weren't. Within an hour, the doctors realized you weren't reacting to the fracture. Fragments from the shattered bone had entered your bloodstream and traveled to your brain. You were having a massive stroke. Suddenly there were nurses, residents, specialists, restraints, injections, alarms, tubes, wires. By noon, you could no longer speak. I can still remember your eyes fixed on me as you sensed yourself slipping away. The head of neurology, Dr. Sama, took Mum, Dad, and me outside onto the hospital lawn. My mother had not understood the enormity of what was going on, and she said, "Is it dangerous?" The doctor hesitated. Then he said, "Yes, he will probably be dead by this evening." But he didn't die. My childhood did, and the karmic arc of all our lives changed forever. Fast forward 20 years, it's a blazing Delhi summer afternoon. I'm visiting from Dubai, where I lived there. Mum has served lunch, Dad is asleep, and you and Mum are drinking tea while the radio murmurs in the background. I am lying on the sofa, pretending to be asleep. By then, from the outside at least, things have worked out well for me. I'm earning tax-free dollars in a good job, with a wife, a son, a comfortable life in Dubai with a villa, a swimming pool, a live-in maid with her own quarters. And you? Still handsome, still funny, but completely dependent on our mom. She begins talking to you about me, about how I left, about what would happen after she and Dad were gone, about her terror that you would be abandoned and alone, at the mercy of the caretakers. And then she says in Punjabi, मैं तो अजे भी कहनी है तू उसे वेले मर गया हुंदा डॉक्टर सामा दा कहना सही हुंदा ते सब ਲਈ ਚੰਗਾ ਸੀ. I've always thought, she said, it would have been better for everyone, most of all for you, if what Dr. Sama had said that afternoon had been right, and if you had died that very first day at Gangaram Hospital. You'd heard this before clearly. You took a bite of pineapple pastry, you sipped your tea, and you quietly replied, "You're right, Mummy."
Blazing New Delhi, the sun streams. Our daily ritual at 3 years since I broke Mummy's dreams. We sit here and drink our tea. With a sip and a sigh, my mom replays how she cried and she cried and she cried. It wasn't in my hands anyway. Would it have been better if I had died? Brother's gone off with his bride. He's all gone and settled there, leaving me and Dad to abide. Do you really think he's gonna care? Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, as we sit here drinking tea, that she who brought me into life, she'd be wishing death upon me.
About 8 years later, around 2007, I came to Gurgaon, where you and Daddy were living after Mom had died. It was one of my twice-a-year visits from America. One morning, while adjusting the straps on your wheelchair, I noticed a foul smell coming from your hair. I ran my fingers through it and found an infected wound on your scalp. I asked Rafiq, your attendant, what had happened. Nothing. I asked Daddy. Nothing. That evening, you finally told me, I couldn't get to change the TV channel quickly enough for Daddy, so he hit me with his cane. What? Who was this monster? It was still our dad, the one who had been running around all his life, taking care of us, proud of our achievements, but the 30 years of caring for you, being worried about you, and finally losing his wife, our mom, had broken him. He was a different person. That night, I broke Dad's cane and told him that if he ever hit you again, I would make sure the police got involved. A few days after I returned to America, a neighbor called. Apparently, the police had already been involved. Someone in the building had reported hearing you screaming after Daddy had locked you in the bathroom for hours without food or water. After Mom died, life wasn't kind to you. And I wasn't there very often to make it any easier. Then Daddy died in 2011. You stayed in Gurgaon with Rafiq, looking after you. A year or two later, I started hearing about a Mrs. Khurana who visited every afternoon for tea. At first, I was delighted. I imagined you chatting, gossiping, talking about the news and the cricket. I was relieved that someone was checking in on you. The reports were always the same. Mrs. Khurana comes every afternoon around 3:30. Mrs. Khurana sits and has tea. Mrs. Khurana spends hours with Bobby. Mrs. Khurana, and Mrs. Khurana. On my next trip, I asked a few residents if they knew her. They didn't know who I was. They could not stop praising her. What a wonderful woman. What a caring neighbor. What good karma she was accumulating by looking after the disabled man on the 17th floor. Then the conversation drifted to you. They seemed to know everything. The tragic, disabled, handsome guy on the 17th floor. His selfish NRI brother, me, who had abandoned him. The family drama, the suffering. Man, Bollywood movies ain't got anything on this. Most of it was nonsense, of course. But that's when I realized that you weren't just a neighbor anymore for them. You had become the building's favorite soap opera. And Mrs. Khurana Daly's cup of tea wasn't really about tea. It was about gathering material for the next episode of that soap opera. That is what she was getting from those visits. But I've always wondered what you got from them. Those conversations, those teas, whether you had understood what she was all about.
Sitting here all alone, see some water on the floor, must be my own. There's someone at the door. Auntie, you're a decent sort. Sit there holding your court. If since your husband passed on, you've chosen me to call upon. You'll sit there drinking my tea while I wonder what might have been. Come and take a chair so people can say you care. Slip your chest, stare at me. Feel glad you're not on these wheels. You sit there all prim and proud while my chair drags a cloud of liquids and smells. It's my personal hell. Are you here because you found somebody to look down upon? You can't bring yourself to say you're broken in your own way. My fingers are all in a knot. You stare and I read your thoughts. Come and take a chair so people can say you care. Slip your chest, stare at me. Feel glad you're not on these wheels. Feel glad you're not on these wheels. Feel glad
was scrolling Facebook the other day when I came across a short video taken from a dash cam. It showed a car dangerously overtaking another, then spinning out of control and careening off the highway into a ditch in a horrendous explosion of dirt, metal, and glass. 4 words came crawling across the screen. Karma is a bitch. Some people think karma is about payback, as though it's the Indian equivalent of the biblical golden rule, as you sow, so shall you reap. Others simply think of it like luck or fate or destiny. Hey man, it must be my good karma that I got the last cronut at the bakery. But it's none of these. Quite simply, karma stands for action, duty without desire, without any attachment to the results of doing that duty. The performance of duty in all our manifestations, as a son, as an employee, as a father, as a husband, and in my case, as a brother. As I sat and chatted with you, Bobby, about Mrs. Khurana, I found myself thinking, I had upped and left and never really came back, sending money to pay for everything, depriving you of the only family you had, leaving you to fend for yourself. So, apart from her nosiness and a need for relevance and adulation, was Mrs. Khurana actually doing something wrong? Wasn't she doing what I should have been doing all along? Performing my karma for me? Because after all, whatever her motivations, at least Mrs. Khurana was there. I did make it to your side 3 or 4 times a year. I took you to your doctor's appointments, your dental care, got you new glasses, treated you to some great meals in 5-star hotels. I also tried to replicate my presence by calling you 2 or 3 times a week. It was always when I could squeeze in the time during my work or travel schedule, so it could even be 2 or 3 in the morning for you. Those calls, I could hear the typical night song of Gurgaon, stray dogs, sometimes the high-pitched singing from a neighborhood temple. During one such call, you asked me, "Yaar, kya kar diya tune ki police tere piche padi hui hai?" Bro, what have you done that the police are after you? I was puzzled until I realized that like I could hear the sounds in his background, he could hear the sounds from where I was too. And there was a loud police siren just outside my midtown apartment window. Yes, you were a smartass and a nerd. Based on something I read, I would try to engage you in conversation to keep your brilliant mind active. After all, you did have a BSc in electrical engineering. I'd quiz you on world capitals, a little physics, some chemistry, and just because we were 2 nerds talking, advanced mathematics. After we hung up, I would wonder what you must be thinking of me. Did you see me as a dutiful brother who took the trouble to visit you, to call you in the middle of a busy day, or as someone just trying to assuage his guilt with these conversations? And then I thought about how many such calls are made every day by immigrants who left their home to pursue a better life for themselves and their own families. How many old parents? How many dependent siblings? For that matter, how many such conversations do not happen? How many people lie awake at night waiting for these calls, for someone to tell them that they're not alone, that someone far away still takes care of them? My phone calls to you, were they just a poor compensation for not being there?
Test me on differential equations. Call me after I lay down. From far across the ocean, I can hear the sirens of Midtown. What are these stupid questions? questions. Oh, you check in me and my brain. But why don't you ever mention Mom and Dad and our pain? My brother, when you're here, just a voice when you're not. I live alone and in fear, and you're all that I got. You keep saying I should come. You'll get the visa and the ticket. I know you think I'm just dumb. Your Empire State is full of shit. Come late at night like a storm. Take me to doctors, 5-star food. Breathe some life into this mausoleum. Then leave me in my solitude. Just a voice when you're not alive alone and in fear, and you're everything I got. You're good, no fault, no crime. You've got a wife, a son, you've gotta work. But all I got is time, 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 time. And your visits make it worse. My brother, when you're here, just a voice when you're alone and in fear, and you're all I fucking got.
It goes without saying that you were often depressed, Bobby. I think all of you are getting depressed right now. But one ray of sunshine that you talked about right up to your last days was the visit from our dear friend Susan. Archana was traveling in India with Susan. It's always a little nerve-wracking when you take white people to India. What will they think about the country that we were born and brought up in, the traffic, the poverty, the chaos, the heat, the dirt? And in this case, there was an additional question. What would Susan think of you, Bobby? Archana remembers introducing the two of you in your apartment in Gurgaon. She doesn't remember the details particularly clearly, only that you were sitting at the dining table when Susan walked in. She pulled up a chair, and within a minute or two, the two of you were chatting as if you'd known each other for years. What struck both of us afterwards was that Susan never seemed particularly interested in your disability. There was none of the usual curiosity, no what happened, no How long have you been in the wheelchair? Who takes care of you? Are you hurting somewhere? Etc. No awkward attempts at sympathy. She just started talking, and your face lit the fuck up. We hadn't seen you smile like that in a very long time. For the next couple of hours, you were funny, engaged, charming, and completely yourself. Archana was fascinated by Susan's ability to create that kind of immediate connection. But more than that, she was simply happy to see you enjoying yourself so much. It felt as though Susan had somehow managed to step around the disability and go directly to the human. Maybe it had to do something with her being a photographer. You know, photographers spend a lot of time looking at people, really looking at people. Whatever the reason, the two of you seem to recognize something in each other almost immediately. Years later, you were still asking about her. So how's Jodie, you would say. Her name's not Jodie, but you called her Jodie because in your mind she looked like Jodie Foster. And every time you asked about her, I found myself thinking about what had actually happened that afternoon. You know, disability often brings with it a kind of invisibility. People see the wheelchair, they see the twisted fingers, they see the practical challenges, but after a while they stop seeing the person. Susan wasn't having any of that. Somehow she managed to see you exactly as you wanted to be seen. A few months ago, we ran into Susan at a Christmas party in upstate New York, and inevitably the conversation turned to you. As we talked about your life and your death, she became tearful. Then she said something that surprised me. She said, Bobby, really wasn't really about Susan seeing you. Maybe the two of you had simply recognized each other.
A one, a two, a one, two, three, four.
Dust dances as it catches the sun. The pictures on my walls are askew. My home isn't right for me or anyone, especially not for someone like you. But you come in fresher glow. Look past the dirt, the entropy in what I say and what I know. It's been a long time since I felt seen. People meet me and lose their voice. It's like they look right through me. That stricken face, that saccharine noise. It's an overdose of empathy. But you don't ask for my story or what went down, whose fault it was. Am I in pain? Who cares for me? No ifs, no thens, and no because. Jody came to me, fresh aglow. Didn't care that my house wasn't clean. Her laughter made my days go slow and gave me the me I'd be. Gave me the me I'd
As Susan educated us, when someone is disabled For most people, the disability becomes the defining feature of them, as though it has a monopoly on misery, as though it immunizes them from all other human afflictions. I forgot that there was a whole human being apart from the disability. You were more than that, Bobby, and I failed to see it clearly enough. There were other things I didn't pay enough attention to. You probably had diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiac issues, but in my tunnel vision, I didn't take care of those. So when I got the call on December 30th, 2017, that you had had a stroke, I just wasn't ready. You spent the next 6 months in a semi-vegetative state, your intelligent eyes following me around the room whenever I visited, as though you were relying on me, your turncoat brother, as your tether to this world. In mid-July 2018, after 7 months in bed and the resultant microaspiration, your lungs developed a serious infection that landed you in the ICU. Every couple of hours, I sweet-talked the nurses into letting me sit beside you and hold your hand. They were kind, maybe sensing a kindred alien, a New Delhi boy, yet somehow so foreign in manner. I heard one of them whisper to the other, "Let the poor man sit. He's come all the way from New York to take care of Big Brother." On July 19th, as I held your cold, clammy hand, I knew you were already dead. You had probably died a couple of days earlier, but your twisted and emaciated body could not accept death. The large white patches on the x-rays showed that your lungs, corroded with pneumonia, were simply incapable of accepting the oxygen being pumped into them by the ventilator. After the first couple of days, I asked the neurologist whether the ventilator was really necessary or whether we were simply just prolonging your torture. He didn't appreciate the question. He was used to people like me, Americans who come. In his mind, I was probably driving an Uber in New York, but here I am questioning his medical abilities. But I had spent a lot of time on Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic websites. Perhaps it was, whatever the reason was, he made it clear that my job was to be your brother and his was to be the doctor. So I sat there and watched you struggle to breathe. There was no hope of recovery at that point. The only signs of life were the electronics blips and beeps on the monitors around the ICU. You were literally drowning in front of me. And then came the question that many of us have either faced or will face someday. What was my duty as your brother, to keep you alive as long as possible or to let you go? What made it unbearable was the thought that you might be just locked in. You might still be in there somewhere, sentient, behind the mask, the tubes, the wires, able to see me, but unable to acknowledge me, able to understand what was happening as I struggled with the decision on whether to remove the ventilator. And so I sat there. Through the long, quiet hours of the ICU, your breathing rasping, slicing like a laser through the dark silences of the night.
Clammy and cold, my flesh that you hold. White patch chest images, bad news Welcome, Mr. New York. wish that I could talk through this plastic mask. House could be I'd ask. Got here before my spirit fled. You're sitting jet like mama bed. I see the beautiful nurse. She's not sure who looks worse.
बैठने को बेचारे को न्यूयॉर्क से आया है अपने भैया के लिए
Framed in tubes and wires, you look sad and tired. Head bent, you're not enough. Kept awake by your love. How long will they let you stay before they make you go away? I'm beaten up, but you are too. You think I'm dead, but I see you. Still broken, I lie. You wait for me to die. Here it comes the twilight, and you recede from sight. Don't hold me so tight. Just let me take flight. How long will they let you stay before they make you go away? I'm in a soup, but so are you. You think I'm dead, but I see.
got back from the cremation ground, after all the samosas had been eaten, and all the chai had been drunk, and all the crying had been done, and all the white saris had fluttered out of the apartment, I sat in that room where you had lived. Grief crept into my mind and heart through the obvious gate, your death. But it slowly spread through everything until it became impossible to isolate the precise source of that sadness. But wait, it wasn't all that sad. Mixed in with the grief was a strange, guilt-inducing sense of relief, even exhilaration, like being released from a life sentence in jail. No more 4 times a year economy class flights to India. No more attendant sofas in hospital rooms. No more hard plastic chairs in Arctic cold ICUs. No more of me helping Kabir with his trigonometry homework over choppy phone connections. No more 3 a.m. conference calls with American clients from hospital waiting rooms while trying to hold on to a job that ultimately was paying for Archana and Kabir's life and for your care. So what exactly was I grieving? Was it that I never see you again? Your sardonic grin, your evil sarcasm, your calling out, "Oi, Gudu, pick up the remote, it's fallen again." Or was it the choices that I made? Leaving New Delhi, moving across the world, building a life elsewhere. Would I have done anything differently? Would I have really given up the opportunity to immigrate and give my wife and son the life they have? Or was it something harder to define? After mom and dad died, looking after you had become an entity, a being unto itself, a living, breathing thing that was present in almost every day of my life, like another family member. You were my last immediate family member and my last real connection to India. And maybe, if I'm being completely honest, I was also grieving the loss of a certain idea of myself, the vague, shame-filled, still persistent belief I didn't know that my words had such an impact.
Somebody call an ambulance.
Yeah. The vague, shame-filled, but still persistent belief that I was somehow a hero, that I had actually done my duty as your brother. So I sat in your apartment, your smell still lingering in the air, with the strange feeling that you were still there and that you were still talking to me.
When you get home, good do. Shirt smelling smoke from the pyre. Things scattered around will remind you this place is mine, and I'm still here. Scratch on the bathroom door. Remote control worn out from use. Empty wheelchair sitting in the middle of the floor where I watched BBC News. Your Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts as you scale the stratosphere. Flew from my side to distant coasts. You left the nest, and I'm still here. Glasses refract the morning sun. Misshapen, hazy, but I could see. T.O. I would come, but won't be read by anyone. So say bye to the nature from me. It's your world. I was just a guest at the table. I tried so hard, could never find my seat among the able, the financially stable. Never had what you had, but this place was mine. My school books ragged and torn from all the classes I taught. Computer screen is quick to wake but frozen with porn unwatched. Now that I'm just a thought. When you wake up, good day, surrounded by the flotsam of our years, you'll be reminded by everything around. My pain is gone, but I'm still here.
Gone. And I had a quandary. Which Bobby will I remember? Playing cricket with me? Standing there proudly, receiving your meritless citation from the Ministry of Education? Bringing home your very first paycheck? Or behind that plastic mask with tubes and wires coming out of you like a spider's web? Or in the end, lying like a collection of sticks on your funeral pyre? None of these. I choose something entirely different. In your prime, Bobby, you had been a virile, sarcastic, vital young man who spent a good deal of his time fighting with Dad. 40 years later, the relationship had evolved into a strange kind of negative codependency. You disliked each other intensely, but the mutual irritation had somehow become part of the structure of your lives. As difficult as Dad could be, I worried about what would happen when he died. His temper, unpredictability, and selfishness were hard to live with, but he was also a constant presence in the apartment, in your life. He kept an eye on things. He made sure caretakers didn't get any ideas. So when he died, even though it seemed like a huge burden had been lifted from your shoulders, I found myself worried about you. In my effort to give you some structure and get you out of the apartment, I arranged for a physiotherapist and a speech therapist. Everybody encouraged you to exercise, do your speech drills, and work on your mobility. We all meant well. The problem was you hated every minute of it. You insisted it was pointless, that nothing was going to change, and that you'd rather be dead. One day I became so frustrated, so I said, what the fuck do you really want, man? To just sit around waiting to die? It was as if you were waiting for that question. I want to teach, you said. And suddenly, a lot of things made sense. I had been approaching the problem as though what you needed was exercise. What you actually needed was purpose. You didn't want to spend an hour moving your fingers because somebody told you to move your fingers. You wanted a reason to move them. You didn't want to practice speaking more clearly for the sake of clearer speech. You wanted to something worth saying. In the years after your accident, when you were largely confined to your home, you had taught high school and junior school students. You loved it. Later on, you got a teaching job at the Naz Foundation in Delhi, which works on LGBTQ issues and runs programs for orphans of people affected by HIV/AIDS. I arranged a car and driver, and 3 times a week you would head off to teach. From about 2012 to 2016, it was the happiest I had seen you in a very long time. call and ask Bobby, "Tu padhane ja raha hai na? You're going to teach today?" And your response would always be, "Of course, I'll die if I don't teach." I visited Naz a couple of times with you. From the moment the car pulled up outside, I could hear the kids shouting, "Bobby uncle aa gaye, Bobby uncle is here." You would sit in your wheelchair with 4 or 5 students gathered around you, your spine twisted by scoliosis, barely able to hold a pen, but explaining algebra, chemistry, and physics as though nothing in the world mattered. And then something interesting happened. Without anyone nagging you, your fine motor skills started returning. You began signing checks again, something you hadn't done for years. Because you were talking constantly with the children, your speech became clearer too. The therapies that had seemed so pointless suddenly started working. Looking back, I realized the mistake all of us had made. We were trying to get you to exercise so that you could have a life. But you already knew what kind of life you wanted. You just wanted to be useful. And once you found a way to do that, the rest seemed to take care of itself.
40 years without the flame, and then I started to teach. No more shame, no more blame, started working on my speech. Still me and not the same, is happiness in my reach? No longer me, let's talk about you. I just wanna be of some use. Been a while since I could smile and not feel like I'm a fake. Forget my twisted spine. Teach love, give and not take. Hold the pen, draw a straight line. Coach, solve and make the kids a little less confused. I just wanna be of some use. Writing books with their toes, paint with brushes in their teeth. No arms, still shoot arrows, making pottery with their feet. Preening on TV shows, racing wheelchairs down the street. All these heroes in the news. I just wanna be of some It's my life, it's what I choose. No more tears, no more I'm gonna get rid of this just wanna be
I just keep coming back. Apart from the memory of Bobby and Naz, this is what I had left. Bobby's ashes, his empty apartment, and a whole lot of questions. Actually, one question asked in a few different ways. Would I ever really know that if I had ever fulfilled my duty towards Bobby, I would have lacked in fulfilling my duty as a father and a husband? If such a thing as karmic equity exists, Is there a linear programming model to maximize it or minimize one's regret? In the calculus of karmic duty, what takes precedence? Wife, children, siblings, parents, employers, society, Donald Trump? In the ultimate cosmic accounting, someone will get screwed over. In your lives, whom will you choose to shortchange? And what about you? Are you irrelevant in this equation? Is your only purpose on earth to be of use to others? Your happiness, your desires, your appetites, your lusts, do they matter for nothing? Would I be spending the rest of my life wallowing in self-pity, looking for some kind of absolution, for approval from family and friends, that I have done my job, my karma, that I'm indeed a decent person? But over the years since Bobby died, I've also began to realize something. Maybe I wasn't asking the right question at all. It's not about making choices between your various selves. The real choice is between not showing up at all or showing up without thinking about the outcome. So I find my peace in this. I will never be perfect, but I can accept my human frailty, my shortcomings. I can try to do my karma. At the end, the perfection may or may not be in the outcome, but as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, the tides will rise and fall, the business of this world will go on, and the perfection will be in the trying. Thank you.
Oh, I have to say something now? I get to say something now? Thanks, Dad. Oh, hi. Thank you so much for coming out. It's so lovely to see everybody. This is such a beautiful place. Thank you to Austin and Ruby and Augie and everyone who works at Healing Force. Truly a magical place. It sounds so good. Thank you to my band. There's Brandon, Justin, Lauren, Sam, and Dylan. They took on this very heavy project with me. And yeah, I just want to say that I wish that I had gotten to know Bobby more. I saw him probably way less than my dad did. And in this project, my dad gave me the opportunity to be his voice. I don't know if you got that. This is Bobby's voice. This is the voice of Bobby. And in doing so, it actually was really good for our relationship. The Kumar brothers, it started out as Bobby and my dad, but it is also me and my dad. So let's give it up for my dad again. And then let's give it up for my Nana, who is singing a little excerpt in Urdu, acting as the Urdu radio service, and my mom, who was acting as the nurse in the ICU. Yeah, this was really special, one of the most special shows that I've ever done. So I think we have a little bit of time left here, so we should enjoy it, and we should drink and buy records and hang out. That's it.
Attack with the slow tempo. I was literally like deep breathing.
I'm not used to that much restraint. It was,
Dude,
it's hard,
it's all slow and straight for me. It's so hard. Good shit, man. You're awesome. You crushed it. Justin, you're really good. You're really good.
It's so awesome to get to do a set with you.